Hello, hello, hello. Back in the studio today. It's been a long time. I'm going to be on my little handy dandy stick here. I'm going to kind of show you around what first couple episodes we did was in our studio here in our barn behind our house. But it was always on a fixed stand. Today I can kind of walk around. So that's a little bit better. I'll just kind of show you around here a little bit. We're sitting upstairs. Kind of what the remnants of our studio is left. My son does a lot of his recording at his friend's house now, so there's some of the stuff taken down and out. I'm gonna flip the camera around. You can kind of see the rest down. We're in a loft. There's all of our weight equipment, our gym, all my fire decorations you can kind of see. And there's a whole nother section underneath. Don't know if you can see it. Anyway, pretty cool. Just kind of want to give you an idea where we're at. Man, today is going to be like a super random post. Excuse me, I just got out of the attic, and because of the remnants of Hurricane Helene are up here in Indiana now, had to get up in the attic because our roof is leaking. But anyway, the whole reason that I do these HRL 10 videos is just about making a difference in this world. And all humans want the same three things. And I believe that is to be heard, loved, and respected. And that's how this HRL 10, the whole collection came about. It was just something I started years ago, and then I kind of got out of it and was like, this is stupid. Nobody will respond to it. And then I restarted it. And I say a lot. But really, just the HRL 10 is just about taking 10 minutes. What a difference this world would be if we took 10 minutes out of our lives at some point. Doesn't have to be every week, every month, somewhere around there, sometime, to meet somebody new, to talk to somebody new who was different than us. Because it's so easy to love somebody when they think like us, when they look like us, when they act like us. And so, the world is just full of, I don't know, we just tend to surround ourselves with just people like us, And then the people who are different than us, we tend to put them people down. And the older that I've gotten, I think it's more about being uneducated than it is not liking these people. And so, man, today it's all about, especially the last couple weeks, man, I've just really felt it welling up in me today. A couple programs that I listened to on 97.9 WGNR. Couple of things I was reading over the last couple days. And then just today I watched this movie on Netflix called Will and Harper. And it's about Will Ferrell and his buddy Harper Lee, who used to be a guy, decided to transition over into a woman. So they take a trip across country, just from some of the old things that Harper used to do when she was a he. And then they just get to know each other. They've been friends for like 30 years, but they just kind of wanted to see what it was like, how it's different for both of them. And I'll let you guys watch the rest of that, but man, it was just a really touching documentary on if you really got to know somebody, how would you feel about them? Like if you saw what they struggled with. In this documentary, Will cries a couple of times because he sees what his friend has struggled with and pushed down for all these years. And then when they go across country, most people are pretty cool with them. But when they came to Indianapolis, there was some comments that were made like on tweets and stuff like that. And then especially when he went to Texas, man, there were some really mean things said there. But I just wonder, if those people that were saying those mean things, how would they really feel about Harper if they got to know him? And then And then it got me to thinking, like, we may not struggle with being transgender, and we think like how much of a struggle that would be for this Harper. And he gets into it in this documentary about how hard it was for him and how got to the point of suicide and got to the point where he bought a house out in the desert because he just wanted to be alone and didn't accept himself and didn't love himself. And even going to the therapist would try to talk him out of it because he was married at one point in his life and had children. And but man, I just go deeper into that, and I think about, like, maybe I don't struggle with transgender, but I struggle with other things that you're kind of ashamed to show the community, the things that are deemed weak. And I've struggled with anxiety, and I've struggled with depression, and that doesn't seem like any big deal. But when you're going through it, it does. And your biggest fear is rejection. This biggest, like my little, our grandkids' tent over there. How you fear rejection from people. And so you hide all that stuff and you push all that stuff down. And, this Harper goes through it and explains about how hard it was for him to pretend all those years. And what is it that you struggle with? What is it that love could change? What is that thing or those things about you that not too many people know? Or maybe they know it, but they don't know the depths of it. Maybe they kind of see it or sense it or feel it, but every time you're around or every time that gets ready to come up, you kind of snuff it down. And so I know this is rambling because normally I write stuff down and I'm prepared for these things, but I just feel this big dominance of love. Like, what could love cure in this world? And what if we just showed everybody that respect and that love and just get educated about them? Doesn't mean we have to agree with them, doesn't mean we have to like what they're going through, but just that we got to know what their struggles are, how long they've been dealing with them, why they deal with them, why do they deem that it's a struggle? Is it really a struggle or is it a cultural thing? And then what could we do to help them along in that journey? And so, I kind of want to use my wife as an example. When we first got together, I was really struggling with guilt. My wife had passed away, and she had been married for 25 years, but I struggled with it because I felt guilty. Just because my wife passed away, I didn't want her to pass away. And that love that I had for her did not go with her when she passed away. It stuck with me. So when I decided to start dating again, I just felt this tremendous guilt, and I don't feel like anybody judged me. Maybe some people did, and that's okay. That's their place. But the one thing that stuck out to me about my wife was love. And man, I had this 10-foot wall up on me, and I didn't want to show anybody, and I didn't know if I was ever going to love to that capacity again. And my wife currently says, Mindy says, Burke, I saw all of the love that you doled out over the course of the years that your wife, Betsy, was sick. And I got a lot of love to give. And I still got it in me. And I want to give that love to you, Burke. And I just kind of pushed it away. And I thought, you can't fix what I've got going on in my head, And she's right. I'm right. She can't fix it, but she can be there along to support me. And then, there were times when I would say, hey, she's always complimenting me. And I'm like, Mindy, tell me something that I'm not good at, because I know I'm not that great of a guy. Every day, I'm telling you guys out there, every day, Mindy tells me how good of a man I am, how lucky she is to have me, how good looking I am, how good of a dad I am, how good of a husband I am, how good of a son I am. Every day. And that her love for me and saying those things, just eventually I noticed just started breaking down this wall. And she would tell me and show me. And I said, Mindy, like, I can't be that great of a guy. I want you to tell me like 2 things that you really dislike about me. And she said, no, Burke, I refuse to do that. I refuse to focus on the negative things about somebody that I love so much. And man, think about that. Like all of us, like, sure, there are things that we annoy each other on. Believe me, we don't have the perfect marriage because nobody does. And we've had our fair share of arguments, right? But at the base of it is love. And what if we chose to take the time to just love somebody for who they are and where they are and why they believe what they do? Now, sometimes love means, I don't know if you can hear all that crackling going on. The winds are about 60 miles per hour here with this remnants of the hurricane. But sometimes love means tough love. You don't always, we come to these, I've seen this on Facebook, but we've come to these 2 false beliefs that to love somebody means that you have to agree with everything that they do. But to disagree with somebody means that you hate them, and that's not true. And so I was listening to a program on one of our radio stations here called Moody Radio 97.9. It's a Christian radio station. And Paul's talking about putting on the bond of love towards others and how that changes their life. And you think about why Jesus, what he did. That God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son. So that whosoever shall believe in him shall have everlasting life, right? And then you think about like when somebody does something so nice for you that it's almost indescribable and you feel like you don't deserve it, like what washes over you? Just that love, that sense of peace, and that love, like, man, it just chokes you up. And so, with me, and I know with a bunch of you out there, why don't we choose love more often? Why is love so difficult? Why does anger and hate and division and shame and all the negative things that we can say about ourselves and about each other, why does that seem to come so easy? And on the other hand, why does love and acceptance seem to come so hard? What does it matter? Like on this documentary, what does it matter if this person is transgender? What does it matter if they're gay? What does it matter if they're black? What does it matter if they're white? What does it matter if they're male or Christian or female? Whoever you hate, everybody hates somebody, right? For one reason or another. But why? Why does that come so easy, and why does love and acceptance come so hard? And I don't know. I really don't have the answer for that, other than it's just sin in this world. But man, what a difference this world could be. The news is filled with hate and division and half-truths. And I'm a huge believer that the media holds a huge responsibility on why we are divided and why we hate each other. I mean, we'll fight each other over political candidates that don't even know our name, and we've never had a meal with them. We've never talked to them. We just are being spoon-fed this negativity. But you take that down to the individual level, the anecdotal level, the me and you level of, I can't change the world, but I can change my little corner of the world, and so can you, and so can your friend, and so can your kids, and so can your family, and so can your church. And we just do that by one choice of love and unselfishness to get out of our own way at a time. I know, lots of rambling, but why can't we do that? Why don't we choose on a daily basis to make somebody's day? Why don't we choose on a daily basis to show somebody love different than us or that we don't even know? My wife and I were just currently in Utah in Zion National Park hiking, and we were on this trail, and I think it's the Kenyatta Trail, and we had to get over because there were some horses coming, and we were just standing in the grass, and these horses were coming by, and this lady looks over at my wife, and she goes, "You are pretty." And you could tell like she meant it. She wasn't just saying it. She wasn't coerced. We had nothing to do with those horses. She wasn't getting paid. We didn't know anything about her. And Mindy didn't hear it first. And the lady got right in front of Mindy's, just right past her. And she said, "No, like you are really pretty." And man, that just made my wife's day. And it really choked me up because I thought, man, here's a random stranger. Like for weeks, for days, we had been hiking, walking past thousands of people a day. And this person singled her out and said, "You are really pretty." And my wife she's beautiful, but she never says that about herself, like most women don't. And I just thought that was amazing. Like, what if all of us it didn't take this lady 30 seconds. And then she rode on by. She didn't even stop. She didn't talk or anything. And she just kept on doing her thing. She had no clue what that meant. And here I am a week later talking about this, how much that meant to us and how much that made our day. Why can't all of us single one person out a day to show them how much we love them? Just by something simple, how much we notice them. "Hey man, cool shoes. Hey man, cool shirt." The other day at the firehouse, there was a guy that I was working with doing some pump training, and I thought the guy was doing a great job. Young guy on the department, motivated guy on the department, and so I wanted to make sure that afterwards he knew that. And I was like, "Hey man, I just want to tell you, if you haven't thought about becoming an engineer, you should, because you were doing really good at it." And I know I need those compliments, and I'm sure it felt good to him to have that. And I didn't do it for him to feel good, not in a selfish way, but I did it in a way of like, "Hey man, I hope this means something to this guy's day, that I noticed the effort that he's putting in, that I noticed what he was doing." And so you think about that, goes, all the way with our kids, all the way with our friends, all the way with coworkers, random people. We can change this world one person at a time. We can't change the entire world, but we can change our little corner of the world. And that little corner of the world is part of the puzzle piece, right? Like humanity is just this great big puzzle piece that is laid out on this table, and it's all there. All the pieces are there, and you start with the outside edges and you work your way in. But every little compliment is a piece of the puzzle. Every little time you insert one, every time you say something, every time you notice, it's a little piece of that puzzle that gets flipped over, and this picture of love becomes clearer. So I don't know, this is, we're going on 20 minutes here, and I know these things can be kind of long, but I just really wanted to talk about love today and how much of a difference it can make. And for not only you, but for me and for everybody around this world, is why not try it? What can you lose? When people get defensive, when they start noticing other people, if you ever notice that people, like, they're always pointing out somebody else's faults. Yeah, that person don't do this. Yeah, they think they're this. Yeah, they act that way. Yeah, it must be nice to have money. Yeah, it must be nice that they're whatever. That all comes from insecurity. But we wrestle, in my opinion, watching these things, we wrestle with insecurity in our own heads. Because the person that is putting you down really has the same insecurities as you. And so what if you went up to that person that was putting you down and said, like Jesus says, bless those who curse you? What if you went up to them, and it's hard to do in the moment because you just want to punch them in the face. But what if you found out their insecurities and you were both like, yeah, me too, man. Yeah, me too. Then you'd become best friends. We all have those insecurities. We all need love. We all need acceptance. So what if we just put that down? What if we just put down the notions of our own insecurities and realize that everybody has them? What if we revealed ourselves to the world that we think is going to condemn us only to be accepted because people can relate? The reason that we don't relate is because we don't talk. And the reason we don't talk is because we fear. And the reason we fear is because we are uneducated. And I don't have the reason why we're uneducated other than just laziness or stupidity, maybe. But I think it would do the world a great justice and ourselves a great justice if we would just learn to go back to this program, HRL 10. Take 10 minutes out of your day, out of your life, sometime to hear somebody's story, why they do what they do, why they believe the way they believe, why they act the way they act. And then you move on to R, which is to respect them. Whatever you hear, whether you like it or not, agree with it or not, go along with it or not, that you just choose to respect where they stand in the world at this time in their lives. And then after that, you move to L, which is to love. And ultimately, you love this person or this group for who they are, for what they are. And you choose not to put them down. You choose not to make them feel worse about themselves or put them down in front of the world. So I don't know. That's 20 minutes of Burke's random thoughts on love. But man, I really believe it. I really believe that love can change the world. And I know that sounds 70s hippie-ish. And I know that sounds simple and cliche. But it's true, man. The older I'm getting, I'm 53 years old, and I can tell you how much my wife's love has changed me, has softened me. I can tell you how much my friends' love of acceptance, of knowing the things that I've struggled with that still just accept me for who I am. I can tell you how much that's softened me. I can tell you, like at the firehouse, we see it a lot of people who don't have love, how much they can get into addictions and how much they can get into self-harm and self-hate. And love cures the world, people. Love cures it all. We just have to be bold enough to step into that, be vulnerable enough with it, and believe in it. Thanks for listening to my ramblings. Go out and be somebody's hope and love today.